So Tony, this is the tranny that we took out of that Ford Expedition.
That's right.
And he's broken it down. So what do we got here?
Well, let's start off by the customer's complaint when he brought it in was it would not go backwards and it would slip in overdrive.
So no reverse and slipping in overdrive.
Right. And what we determined from road testing it at first is that it didn't have reverse. When you put it into reverse, it felt like it was locked up.
Okay.
Say, for example, as if you backed up your vehicle up against the wall and you tried to go backwards. And it was seized. It wouldn't move.
Right.
Okay. So when we did the initial pan drop, we found a whole bunch of this black sooty crappy material. So
and there's a magnet up in that corner
that's fully loaded with clutch material. Okay. So what we've got here, we've got a drum that's commonly referred to as the input or the forward drum. Okay. This drum activates this set of what used to be clutches to move the vehicle forward. This transmission in particular got so hot, all these clutch plates here, they were burnt, flaking apart, and actually welded themselves together, so they would never really release inside the transmission when this is supposed to be released in order for it to go backwards.
That's what a good one looks like.
Well, here's an example of what a good one looks like.
There's what a good one looks like.
And you can see the difference.
And these are completely burnt.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Absolutely. So what we do now is when we go through the whole transmission, we go through the whole transmission from front to back and we inspect everything. So we figured out our problem, why it's binding up into reverse here. Yep. But because the transmission got so hot, I'm sure, and because of so much stuff in there, plugging up the valve body and plugging up their filters and everything else, when he was driving it on the highway, you can see here from the overdrive band being completely burnt and actually right down to the metal here.
Now, could this be from towing a vehicle?
This is actually a vehicle that tows a very heavy trailer.
Ah, so there you go. Okay.
Okay. And this here is the drum that this band rides around, just like that. And you can see the damage on this drum as well.
So the band grabs that so that it makes the next...
Right. It'll stop this from spinning so that it can perform a separate function inside the transmission. Now, what could we have done to prevent an issue like this? Obviously, changing the fluid in the filter on a regular basis is very important on a vehicle, especially when it tows. Another very important thing on a transmission when you're towing is to keep it cool.
Temperature.
It definitely needs an auxiliary cooler at this stage because you see what happens from excessive temperature.
So now as a rebuilder, you're going to rebuild this tranny and you're going to say to him, I will guarantee it provided you put in a cooler.
Auxiliary cooler.
Right, that's number one.
And we're going to highly recommend that he visits us annually, regardless of the mileage, for a fluid and filter replacement.
Now, when you put it back together, the parts you put back are actually better than what you took out.
The parts that we install on these type of things here, okay, the friction element, the friction materials, they're all original equipment.
Okay.
Okay. What we do is we do what they call, commonly referred to as either shift kits or valve body recalibration kits. This is your valve body. In here is where all of the valves and springs and all of the accumulators and everything that lives. Okay. What we do is we recalibrate them and change the spring pressures and actually open up some of the holes in here to allow for more lubrication for things for like the overdrive band so that it can be lubricated and cooled better and live longer.
So it's amazing. Now, if this was a dealer job, would they have modified the valve body?
Well, I'm going to say no, but...
That's exactly right. I mean, this is something that from your experience, that you know you have to do that in this situation.
Well, from our experience, we know we have to do that because of how the vehicle is being used. In a completely, an application that doesn't pull, it's not 100% necessary to recalibrate the valve body.
So here's the scary part. How do you explain this to the client? I mean, it's his fault, obviously, been abused.
Well, I think that the parts speak for themselves here.
Right.
Right? When my customer comes to see what's happened to his transmission, it'll be very easy for him to see what the problems are and what the causes are.